What if the one person fans feared the most became the reason Rush made history in New York? For years, many believed no one could ever sit behind Neil Peart's legendary drum kit. Some even argued Rush should never tour again. But in the summer of 2026, one drummer walked onto the stage carrying the weight of impossible expectations. Her name was Anika Nilles, and before long, she would help Rush reach a remarkable New York milestone that few thought was possible. When Geddy and Lifeson announced the 50-something tour, they made one thing clear. This wasn't about replacing Neil Peart, it was about celebrating more than 50 years of Rush while honoring their late friend and bandmate. Geddy admitted that Neil was irreplaceable, but he also introduced fans to another remarkable person, Anika Nilles, the acclaimed German drummer known for her work with Jeff Beck and her extraordinary technical ability. The reaction was immediate. Some fans welcomed the decision. Others were skeptical. Could anyone possibly perform songs like 2112, YYZ, or Tom Sawyer without disappointing one of the most loyal fan bases in rock history? Then came the surprise. Demand for the 50-something tour exploded so quickly that Rush added extra dates across several cities, including New York. What was originally planned as fewer shows grew into 4 nights at Madison Square Garden on July 28, July 30, August 1, and August 3, creating one of the band's biggest New York engagements in decades. That achievement wasn't just about ticket sales. It showed that Rush's return, with Anika Nilles behind the drums, had become one of rock's biggest events of 2026. But selling tickets is one thing. Winning over Rush fans was an entirely different challenge. Before a single New York show could become part of Rush history, Anika Nilles first had to prove something far more difficult. She had to earn the trust of Geddy and Lifeson. That process wasn't as simple as learning the songs. According to both Geddy and Alex, their first rehearsals with Anika weren't about finding someone to imitate Neil Peart. Instead, they talked about Neil's musical philosophy, his unique feel, and what made Rush sound like Rush. The goal was never to replace him. It was to preserve the spirit of the music, while allowing a new musician to bring her own voice. Ironically, Anika wasn't even a lifelong Rush superfan. Lifeson later revealed that she arrived a little intimidated and was still discovering the band's catalog in depth. That honesty became one of her biggest strengths. Rather than copying Neil note for note, she approached every rehearsal with respect, discipline, and a willingness to learn. By the final audition, both Geddy and Alex felt something had changed. The chemistry was real. They knew they had found the drummer who could help carry Rush into its next chapter. As rehearsals continued, the pressure only grew. Fans knew that every fill in Tom Sawyer, every intricate passage in YYZ, and every shifting time signature would be analyzed by millions online. One mistake could dominate headlines. One unforgettable performance could change the conversation forever. When the curtain finally rose on the 50-something tour, Anika wasn't just stepping behind a drum kit, she was stepping into one of the most demanding roles in rock history. Opening night carried an emotional weight that could be felt long before the lights went down. Fans packed the arena knowing they were about to witness something Rush had not attempted since Neil Peart's passing in 2020. Social media was filled with predictions, some optimistic, others convinced the band had taken an impossible risk. But once the first notes rang out, the conversation began to change. Anika Nilles didn't try to become Neil Peart. Instead, she honored his legendary parts with remarkable precision, while adding her own natural touch and musical feel. Her years of experience performing complex progressive music allowed her to navigate Rush's demanding catalog with confidence. Critics and fans alike praised her technical skill, composure, and respect for the material, with many noting that she captured the spirit of the songs without simply imitating Neil. That balance was exactly what Geddy and Lifeson had hoped for. As each show ended, videos of Anika's performances spread rapidly across YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and fan forums. Comments that had once questioned the decision were increasingly replaced with admiration. Many longtime fans admitted they had arrived skeptical, but left convinced that Rush had chosen the right drummer for this historic return. Then came New York. With overwhelming demand leading to 4 sold-out performances at Madison Square Garden, Rush achieved one of the most significant New York runs of their career on the 50-something tour. The milestone wasn't just about adding extra dates, it was proof that the band's legacy remained as powerful as ever, and that audiences were embracing this new chapter. By the time Rush arrived in New York, something remarkable had already happened. The doubts that dominated the tour announcement had begun to fade. Night after night, audiences weren't just applauding Anika Nilles, they were embracing the new chapter she helped create. The momentum carried straight into Madison Square Garden, where overwhelming demand expanded the band's New York stop into 4 performances on July 28, July 30, August 1, and August 3. it became one of the most ambitious New York engagements of Rush's career. But these weren't ordinary concerts. From the very beginning, Geddy Lee and Lifeson made it clear that the 50-something tour existed for one reason above all else: to celebrate Rush's legacy while honoring the memory of Neil Peart. Geddy openly described Neil as irreplaceable, emphasizing that Anika wasn't there to replace him, but to help bring the music back to life for a new generation of fans. That philosophy could be felt throughout every performance, as classics like Limelight, Tom Sawyer, YYZ, and selections from 2112 echoed through the garden. The atmosphere became more than nostalgic, it became emotional. Thousands of fans were celebrating decades of music while remembering the man whose drumming and lyrics had shaped Rush's identity. For many in attendance, the loudest moments weren't always during the most technically difficult songs. They came when the audience realized these concerts weren't trying to erase the past. They were proving that Neil Peart's legacy could continue inspiring people, even with a different drummer behind the kit. By the third and fourth nights in New York, the conversation had changed completely. Months earlier, social media had been filled with one question: could Rush really return without Neil Peart? Now many of those same fans were talking about something else entirely: how naturally Anika Nilles had fit alongside Geddy Lee and Lifeson. That transformation didn't happen because she tried to outplay Neil. It happened because she respected what made his drumming legendary. Rather than treating Rush's songs like technical exercises, Anika focused on preserving their feel, dynamics and emotion. Every complex time signature, every carefully placed accent, and every powerful finale reminded audiences why Rush's music has endured for more than 5 decades. Music critics echoed that sentiment. Reviews praised the chemistry between the three musicians, noting that the performances felt like a celebration of Rush's legacy rather than an attempt to rewrite it. Fans who attended the Madison Square Garden shows shared similar reactions online, describing the concerts as emotional, uplifting, and surprisingly faithful to the band's spirit. For Geddy Lee and Lifeson, the New York run represented far more than 4 successful concerts. It confirmed that the 50-something tour had achieved its purpose. The overwhelming demand that expanded the New York stop into 4 Madison Square Garden performances showed that Rush's music still connected with generations of fans. Anika Nilles had played a vital role in making that moment possible, not by replacing Neil Peart, but by helping keep his musical legacy alive on stage. Yet one final question remained: what would this historic tour ultimately mean for Rush's future, and for Neil Peart's enduring legacy? In the end, the 50-something tour was never about proving that Rush could move on from Neil Peart. It was about proving that his influence would always remain at the heart of the band. From the moment Geddy Lee and Lifeson announced the tour, they insisted that Neil was irreplaceable. That promise shaped every performance. Instead of searching for another Neil Peart, they invited Anika Nilles to bring her own musicianship while treating the music and Neil's legacy with the respect it deserved. The result was a tour that exceeded expectations. The expanded New York run at Madison Square Garden became one of the defining moments of the 50-something tour, demonstrating that Rush's music still had the power to unite thousands of fans decades after the band's formation. What began with uncertainty ended with sold-out arenas, standing ovations, and renewed appreciation for one of rock's greatest catalogs. Perhaps Anika Nilles' greatest achievement wasn't mastering Rush's famously difficult songs. It was earning the trust of a fan base that has always fiercely protected Neil Peart's legacy. She didn't ask fans to forget him, she reminded them why his music mattered in the first place, while helping Geddy Lee and Lifeson celebrate it on stage once again. History will likely remember the 50-something tour not as the tour that replaced Neil Peart, but as the tour that proved Rush's legacy could continue without ever leaving him behind. If this story reminded you why Rush remains one of rock's most extraordinary bands, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments. Which moment from the 50-something tour meant the most to you, and did Anika Nilles exceed your expectations? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.